We'll be using number pad notation for this video, so if you haven't learned it, learn it. It's really easy. First is DIO's 236, also known as Blazing Fist or the Muda Barrage. All of its versions are air unblockable. A version doesn't make the world travel forward, just sit in place. B version makes it travel slightly forward, not sure why you'd use it. And the C version makes it travel forward the most. So because it travels forward the most and covers the most distance, you'll be using the C version most of the time. 236C is used a lot in combos and Okizemi as it does so much damage when properly comboed into, and also gives you access to 50-50 from a knockdown. However, if it doesn't hit the opponent, you'll just be left in a highly vulnerable state where you can't block because the world is literally out punching air. So never use this special randomly at all, as it might cost you the whole round if you threw it raw and neutral thinking it hit someone. The stand-on version is also similar to the stand-off version, except for DIO is now glued to the world because the world is active, and the special now launches on hit. Tapping the attack button will make it last longer, and it can be cancelled into its 214X for a frame trap, which can be useful sometimes. It can also be used to keep the opponents from a distance because of its range and speed, but you generally won't be using this much. Anyways, the air version is what we're talking about. It is very good and is one of DIO's most important air attacks. You can drift upwards and horizontally while it's active. It is very fast, has huge range, and does a lot of damage to stand gauges both on hit and on block. It can also be used to link from any of DIO's stand-on areas, making it useful in combos. Now DIO's 214X makes the world rush forward with a punch to the gut. A version reaches around 1/4 of the screen, B version around 1/2, and C version around 3/4. A great air unblockable combo and pressure tool that can be cancelled out of any of his moves. However, note that this is highly punishable during its startup and on block or hit if you don't follow it up. The stand-on version is also similar to the stand-off version, except for, yet again, DIO is now glued to the world and moves with it. There's a follow-up if you input 214X again. The follow-up hits low and wall bounces or does a hard knockdown if done on combo. It can be slightly delayed to catch people trying to push a button. The first part has a noticeable amount of recovery frames, while the second part recovers a bit faster but is still punishable, though a bit risky at times. It does its job well as an alternate combo enter against crouching opponents. By inputting 623, DIO will teleport to a specific location depending on which button was pressed. 623A teleports it to the left of the screen, 623B to the center, and 623C to the right. It can cover a lot of distance and very quickly, and is fully invincible during the entire duration, which can help you get out of many bad situations. However, it can still be grabbed similar to a roll, and can be meaty or mixed up. You can also try teleporting in the first place to confuse the opponent that actually tried to grab you after each teleport. Stand on 623 is infamous for being one of, if not the worst specials in the game. It leaves you wide open for way too long, not to mention that you'll also take increased damage when getting hit during the startup. It's a very bad move and avoid using it unless you want to die. Inputting 60VA6 makes DIO fire a slow, unblockable beam across the screen. This special is something you can throw out completely randomly to catch the opponent off guard. It's quite slow though, and the opponent without their stand can easily just duck under it or react with a full screen super. Nevertheless, with proper timing, it can be very effective. Anyways, there's still way through this though. Don't use it stupidly, like all moves. 236S makes the world quickly appear and performs a quick attack that puts DIO in stand-on mode. It is your fastest attack at only 2 frames of startup. A very important part of DIO is neutral, and so many people just use it and it's so hard to deal with. It also can anti-air and is amazing at pressuring because of its sheer speed and recovery. Using this move is a good way to safely hit confirm from normals into solid damage. Great move if you don't want to put yourself in danger after a blocked string, and reversal tool to get opponents to stop pressuring you. It can also be cancelled onto stand-on 214X Rekka series and Tandem if a player has done a stand-on 214X prior to the activation. Though not really considered a super, 214S is DIO's Tandem. It's a very great reversal option due to its high amounts of invincibility and just really safe to throw out randomly. It requires 1 bar of meter. During this 80 frame long super flash, you can input button combinations for your stand to execute. Your most common one to do would just be 5A, 5B, 5C, repeat in that order around 5 times or more if you have the ability to do so. For opponents that are crouching, you must do 4A, 4B, and 4C while holding back, or just 2A against even smaller opponents looking at you AB. Tandem can still be punished by moves with awkward push blocks like Whole Horse 236AA and Shadow Deal 3C hitting the stand or just traveling towards the opponent, or aerial moves that beat the Tandem once it starts attacking. Still though, it's a great, low risk and high damaging move. Using a Tandem in your combos grant optimal damage and make you look like a pro while using it. 236AA is a bad move. Its startup is very slow and barely has any invincibility frames at all. It's totally useless, avoid using it. But this is where things change. The stand-on version is one of the best supers in the game. It comes out very quickly, is fully invincible, and punish any move that leaves your opponent unable to block from anywhere. Very plus deals a lot of damage on block, can bait out rolls, and can combo into itself on hit for a very high damaging unscaled combo. Still be beaten on reaction by invincible reversals, but it's quite hard to do depending on the distance. Can be done in the air, making it even more useful than it already is. Inputting 214AA will make DIO fly off screen, drop down onto the opponent with a road roller. It's very slow, super obvious, and you really should never use this. However, it is an optimal punish for airborne moves with long recovery due to its high damage. BA6AC is a hit ground, which is usually called Bloody Summoning, or BS for short. It has a good amount of invincibility frames, but is very punishable on block. Depending on the spacing, the move can be safe if it hits during its later active frame, so just at the tail end of it. Something to note about the super is that it is active frame 1, which means if your opponent isn't blocking before the super flash and the screen freezes while they are very close to them, the move will hit and it cannot be blocked on reaction. Last one is this time stop, or 60A6S. You need at least 3 bars of super to perform this move. After a very long startup, DIO freezes time, allowing you to freely bash your opponents without whatever attacks until your meter runs out. It's usually just for style though, because there's not many practical ways for time stop to work because you usually have better options. You can do a lot of damage though depending on your meter, and there are real stand crash setups if you really just want to show off your skill in the game. Other than that, it's completely useless and just doesn't work most of the time. Specials are important, but his normals are just as important as well, so make sure to check out DIO's wiki in the description below to further increase your knowledge about the character. And if you're asking, yes, I'm still alive.